Hey everyone, welcome to WittCode, where in this video we're going to learn how to code an email newsletter subscription system with Node, Express, and Node Mailer. So let me demonstrate what we're going to build. Essentially, what we have over here is our application, and what we can do is we can add users to the subscription service, unsubscribe users, and then to those that are subscribed, we can send a bulk email to all the users. So let me show you first how adding a user works. So I take this command here, this curl command, and what we're doing is we're adding an email. We can see in our application we got subscriber does not exist, so we send a verification email. So then you have to verify your email, which we can see it's right here, and we click verify your email. Once we click this, we now have been verified, which you can see up here, and we get the verified email and their ID listed here. Now that they've been verified, if we send out a bulk email with this command here, the email has been sent to all the subscribers, which of course is WittCode. So if we go back to our email here, we can see we've received an email right here saying my first email. And of course we can unsubscribe. So if we click on this, it'll unsubscribe us from this system. We can see now subscriber unsubscribed. And if we say send an email out to everyone again, it'll say sending all emails. And yet, because we are unsubscribed now, if we check in here, we have not received an email. But this is what we're going to be building. So now let's start coding. The first thing we're going to do is just initialize an empty project as an npm project. I'm just going to call it email newsletter. Now let's open up a terminal. I'm going to zoom in a bit. The first thing I'm going to do is just initialize this as an ES6 npm project, npm init ES6-y. And now let's install our dependencies, which are going to be Express and Node Mailer. So we're going to, of course, use Express to handle user requests. And then we're going to use Node Mailer, which is a package to send emails from a Node application. So we're going to use Node Mailer to send emails. And now for development, let's also install NodeMon as a development dependency so we can update our code as we go along. And so the first code we're going to work on is our email functionality. And so I'm going to create a source code or source folder. Inside there is services folder. And inside there, one called email service.js. And this will essentially hold all of our email logic. I'm just going to copy and paste code as we go along here. So the first thing we're going to do is import the Node Mailer library. Then we're going to import this subscription service class, which we'll create later on. And this will handle our subscription logic. We create our email service class, and then we create a static property called transporter. And this is created from the Node Mailer create transport function. And this function returns a transporter object, which is used to send emails. So a transporter object with Node Mailer is used to send emails, and it's what we'll use, and it takes some configuration options. All of these we're going to set with environment variables. But so the host here is the host name or IP address to connect to for sending the email. For example, if we're sending from Gmail, the host would be gmail or smtp.gmail.com. More on this stuff later. Next, the port is the port number to connect to, and it defaults to port 587 if secure is set to true, or if secure is set to false, and port 465 if secure is set to true. This secure property essentially being true or false determines if we're using TLS. We're using TLS because we set it to true. And now this auth object right here contains the username and password for the email account to send the email from. So the email that you want these emails to come from, you use their username and password right here. But so now that we have our transporter object set up, let's use it. And first what we're going to do is we're going to create a private method called sendEmail. And of course this is going to be used to just send an email. And it's private because it's only going to be used within this class. And to make something private in JavaScript, you use this pound or hashtag symbol. And also just to add in, I'm going to add some linting real quick. This is just to make the development process easier. And I'm going to use a package I created to do this. And it is just WittCode ESLint config. And now from here, let's just export this. So this now makes it so that we have some code suggestion or formatting, auto formatting. So we can see now if we do this, everything formats better, except for these comments. But so essentially what this method does here is it takes the email address to send the email to, the subject of the email, and the HTML body of the email. So the from property here is the email address, or actually we don't need this from property in here. So remove this. What we do need is because we're using our transporter, the from will already be set to this here. So all we need to do is just create an email from who it's to, set the subject of the email, and the HTML body. And then our transporter will send it with the sendMail function of the Node Mailer library, or the transporter object that we created right here. And now let's create a method to send a verification email. And this send verification email method will make use of this private send email method that we created. So let me lower this too, because we don't really need to see this right here. So what this send verification does is, you can guess, it sends our verification email that the user receives. And so what it takes is the email address to send the verification email to, and also the ID of the subscriber that the verification email was sent to. We then just create some generic verification email. So we have our HTML, thank you for signing up for WittScepter newsletter, which is WittScepter's a Chrome extension I made if you want to check it out in the Chrome store. And then we have, please click the link below to verify your email. We have our URL, which will be from an environment variable. And then we have which will send a GET request to our Express server to the route -subscriber-verify with the query parameters of ID and the email. And then of course, we're just going to use our private send email method to send the email and log out success or not. Now that we've done our verification email, let's create a method to send an email to every subscriber. And we're going to call this one send bulk email. So right below this, just paste another one. This is send bulk email. And so once again, this takes the subject and body of the email. And then what we're going to do is we're going to loop through all of our subscribers, so everyone that's currently subscribed, and call our private send email function. And we're using this right here, promise.allSettled, because we don't want to loop through and then just send the email each time. We want to do it all at once, which we can do with all settled. And we're also not doing promise.all, because if one of these emails fails to send, we don't want to cancel every other email that's being sent. So we want to just keep going, which is what we can do with all settled. But this is all we need to do to our email service. So next, let's just create our Express server. You don't have to do this one in a class. I just like to do this in a class for videos because it makes it easier. But essentially, this is just going to be where all our Express logic is. And you could have guessed it. I'm just going to paste in some code and then go over what we're doing. So paste this in here. So first, we just import the Express library. Then we're going to create two static properties called port and node environment. Their values will be the environment variables again, and we're going to define all these inside our package.json start script that we'll create later. Then we have two private properties. One is our Express app, and one is a router for our Express app, specifically the router for the subscribe route. Then we have when we create an instance of this class, we're going to initialize an Express application and an Express router. Then we have this initialize method here, which is essentially going to allow our application to handle JSON and URL encoded payloads, these two lines right here. And then we're going to add our subscriber router to our subscriber route. So anything sent to -subscriber will be handled by our subscriber router. Then we just have some logging middleware that we're going to add. And this will just log out the verified subscribers and the pending subscribers. So pending subscribers are going to be those that have been sent a verification email but have not verified their email yet. So they won't receive bulk emails. And verified are people that have verified their email with the verification email. And also we need to import subscription service. So I'm just going to take it from in here. Of course, we still haven't created this class yet, but we will soon. But I'm just going to import it like that. But so now let's handle adding a subscriber. So the first thing we're going to do is handle adding a new subscriber to our newsletter. And we're going to do this in a private method called add subscribe route. And so as you could have guessed, this is going to add a subscriber to the pending subscribers. So this property right here. So essentially what we do is we're creating a post route handling post requests to -add. And because we're using the subscriber router, it's going to be -subscriber-add. But so we wrap this all in a try catch and we extract the email from the request body. If an email isn't there, we're going to say invalid request. Whereas if not, we're going to create a subscription service and we're going to subscribe them, which we're going to create this method right now. And then we're just going to send back a response status 200 with the message, please verify your email. If anything goes wrong, we'll just log it out and then return the next error like this, which will basically make Express handle it with its internal error handling. But so let's create this subscriber service or subscription service class. I'm just going to call it, so of course, subscription service.js. And let's create this subscribe method that we're using in our add subscriber route. So I'm going to paste it in here. And so first, what we do is we're importing our email service class, and we're going to extend that with our subscription service so that we can use our email service methods. We also import a random UUID from the crypto library, which is what we're going to use to create an ID for each new user. And here are our static list of subscribers and pending subscribers. Of course, in the real world, you would want to use a database to store these, but just for demonstration purposes, we're going to just use some static properties. But here's our subscribe function. And so basically this method will add an email address to the subscribers list if they have not already subscribed, and it's going to create a subscriber object and add it to the subscriber list. And a subscriber object will consist of an email generated from a random UUID and then the email address. And here is where we're going to send the verification email, which of course we created this method already inside our email service class, and we can use this because we are extending our email service class. But so after they've subscribed, we add them to the pending subscribers. But so that's all it is for adding a subscriber. Now let's handle adding or unsubscribing a user, which is going to be pretty straightforward. Let me paste this in to our Express service because this is going to be another route, and it's going to be add unsubscribe route. So what this is going to do is going to add it so we handle get requests to -unsubscribe, and because once again it's our subscriber router, it'll be -subscriber -unsubscribe. We're going to extract the ID and email from the request query parameters. So when you have like the question mark, ID equals and all that, that's where we're going to be taking these from here. If they're not supplied, we'll just say invalid request. And if not, we're going to create a subscription service, and we're going to unsubscribe them using their ID and email. And so once again, you might have guessed we're going to create this method now inside our subscription service, which is going to handle unsubscribing a user. Let me just paste that in right here. And so of course it takes the ID and the email. What we're going to do then is we're going to find inside our subscribers where the ID is equal to the provided ID and the email is equal to the provided email. If we didn't find a subscriber, then they're not unsubscribed because they weren't a subscriber in the first place. If not, we're going to unsubscribe them by just filtering out them by their ID. And so now, because they're no longer in this subscribers array, they won't receive any bulk emails, because if you can remember what we do here in our email service is we loop through these subscribers and send the email to them. And also something important I didn't go over here actually looking at this is for every single email, we're going to add an unsubscribe link to it by creating a variable called body with unsubscribe. And we're just going to create it right here, which will be the route to our unsubscribe. You can see the ID, the email that we're passing as query parameters, and then we're going to append that to our email body right here. So basically the unsubscribe link will be at the bottom of every single email. And now next, let's add the logic to handle a user verification. And so you might have guessed we're going to do this inside Express service. We're going to add another route. This will be a verification route. And so what it's going to do is we're going to handle get request to -subscriber -verify. We're going to extract the ID and email from the query parameters again. If they're not supplied, return a 400. And if they are, we're going to create a subscription service and verify the subscriber. And so now let's create the verification method, which is called verify subscriber. And we're going to place this, of course, in our subscription service. And I'm just going to paste it in right here. And so to verify subscriber, first we're going to check if they're in the pending subscribers list. And if they're not, we're going to say they haven't been verified. And then we're going to push them to our subscribers. And then we're going to filter them out from our pending subscribers. And then at the end of this, we're just going to return the subscriber. But so that's all it is for verifying a user. Basically, you just need to keep track of these two arrays of users. Now let's handle our actual newsletter sending. So we've done the verification, subscribing, and all that. Let's actually handle sending the email. And so we're going to create another route for this, and it's going to be add send email route. And for this, we need our email service, which I'm going to import up here. So import our email service at the top, and now scroll back down. And so this is going to handle post requests to -subscriber -send. And what it's going to do is it's going to take a body, subject, and also a password from the request body. And the reason we're going to have a password is because we don't want anyone to be able to just send out emails to all our subscribers. We want it to be secure. And there are, of course, different ways to do this, and most likely more secure ways. But for me, or for demonstration purposes, we're just going to provide a password. And what we're going to do for some more security is when we have the body, subject, and password, if those aren't sent up here, we, instead of returning a unauthenticated or unauthorized, we're going to return a 404 saying not found. Same with if the password isn't equal to it, we're just going to return a 404. So just kind of to hide what's going on behind the scenes. But if all that stuff is okay, then what we're going to do is we're just going to create an email service and send our bulk email, and then return a 200 and say email sent to subscribers. And of course, we already created this send bulk email, which just loops through all of our subscribers and sends the email. But so now all we need to do is just bootstrap all these methods to our Express server. And we're going to do that in a method called start. So once again, I'm just going to paste this in right down here. It's a start method. And essentially what we're doing is we're going to be calling all our private methods within here and adding them to our Express server. So we're initializing all that global middleware, writing some logging middleware, and then we're adding all our routes before listening on the provided port number. And now all we need to do is just instantiate this Express server. So at the top level of our source folder, let's create server.js file. So create this at the top level. And all we're going to do is create an Express service and start it. But now we need to create a start script. And this part is important because this is where we're going to have all of our environment variables. So we're going to have a start script in here. And this is where we're going to set all of our environment variables. And so I'm going to, once again, just paste this script in here. But this is essentially what it's going to be. So here, password is the password that we want to verify for sending out a bulk email. So you can set this to whatever we want. And here we've set it to just the string password, which of course is very insecure. Then we're using the email port. We're setting to 465. And this is going to be for our email service up here, our email host, or was it port? Let me open this on the right and this on the left. So we have our email port right here, 465, which is going to be provided to our transporter. We have our email host, which is smtp.gmail.com, because we're going to be sending this from a Gmail email. Then we have email user and email password, which for you will be your email and your password. And of course, if you're not using Gmail, this will be different too. It'll be something like smtp.whatever.com, but just check with your email provider. And then we're going to set, this is the port for our server that we'll listen on, 5001. Our node environment variable, we're going to set to development. And then we're going to run nodemon on our main file, which is what this dot means. And we're going to set this dot up here, which is going to be -source-server.js. So now when we run this, it'll run our server.js file. But so that's all there is to this. And however, if you are using Gmail, you might need to use one more step for creating or for sending emails, because Gmail takes security a bit more seriously when it comes to sending emails with third-party apps or just working with third-party applications. Specifically, what you'll need to do is you'll need to generate something called an app password. And I'll show you real quick where you can generate these. So what you want to do is just go to one of your Google accounts. So say I'm in mine here, and what I want to do is just go to my account settings. And now within here, what you want to go to next is just security. And then in here, you want to go to two-step verification. And then at the bottom in here, you can see app passwords, and you'll want to go into this, and you'll want to create a new name and generate a new app password. And then it'll give you a 16-digit code, which you will paste into the environment variable for email password right here. But besides that, that's all that takes to get this newsletter system up and running. So now let me just make sure that everything works. And actually something I forgot to add is URL. You also need to add the URL, which for us will be HTTP localhost 5001, which is where our server is running. And now if we just run npm start, I'm going to do silent so it doesn't show my credentials in the terminal. But if we run this, we can see we have server running on port 5001. Let's just make sure that everything is working as expected. So first, let's verify, or let's add a new subscriber, which we can of course do by sending a post request. So what we do is we set the application type to application.json, and we specify our payload as the email wittcode@gmail.com. And if we add this user, we get subscriber does not exist, and we sent a verification email. Let's go and check that. And here it is. So we can verify your email. If we hover over here, we can see at the bottom of the screen, if I copy this link and paste it in here, we can see what we have as subscriber, verify the ID and the email. So if we curl this, which I believe I can do with just curl, and then I'm going to wrap this in quotation marks, just do a curl here, we can see we get back verified and the subscriber has verified. And now let's send out a bulk email just to make sure this is working. And so let's paste in here. And what we're going to do, so here's our password so we can actually send an email. Here's the subject of the email and the body. Let's change this to say Witceptor is amazing, which of course is my Chrome extension again. And I'm going to change this instead of my first email to my second email. And let's send this off. it says it's sent to all emails. So let's check and see if that's true. And here we are, my second email. WittScepter is amazing. And now we can unsubscribe. And let me copy this link. Say we don't want to get these annoying emails anymore. I think I must have clicked the wrong thing. So highlight, copy link address, paste this in. We can see it says to subscriber-unsubscribe. We have an ID and an email. And now let's just curl this too. And I don't know what I did there, but let's paste this in again. And now we can see we've been unsubscribed, as it says right here. And if we send another bulk email, and let's change this to WittScepter is awesome, send that. Let's see if we actually received it, which we shouldn't this time. And if we check in here, we can see we haven't received the email. But so this is all it takes to sending emails with Node and and NodeMailer. If you have any questions, leave them free in the comments, and I'll try and get back to you. But besides that, thank you for watching, and have a good one.